Imagine if you got your hands on a powerful magical sword, but a witch was willing to kill for it. That's exactly what happens in today's story. At the beginning of the story, we see a young boy named Alex reading a book about ancient kings. He was running late for school, so he hurriedly caught the school bus. Just then, he received a message from his friend Betters, who needed his help. When Alex reached school, he saw that two older students, Lance and Kay, were bullying Betters. Summoning his courage, Alex confronted them, but Lance didn't like his interference and pushed him, throwing his homework into the drain. Furious, Alex jumped on Lance and a fierce fight broke out. A teacher intervened, took them to the principal's office, and all three were given detention for 2 hours after school. After school, Lance and Kay decided to get revenge on Alex and started chasing him. To escape, Alex hid in an abandoned building, but the bullies found him and threatened to beat him up. In the chaos, Alex tripped and lost consciousness. Seeing him in this state, Lance and Kay got scared and ran away. When Alex woke up, he noticed a sword embedded in a stone amidst the rubble. With a single pull, he removed the sword, and its blade gleamed brightly. Just then, he heard police sirens, so he quickly hid the sword in his bag and ran home. Later, he invited Betters over and showed him the sword. It had a jewel embedded in the handle and an inscription in Latin. Using a translator, they discovered that this was King Arthur's legendary sword, Excalibur. Alex had read about King Arthur in his book. Thousands of years ago, a king named Uther Pendragon ruled Britain, and his people were happy under his reign. However, when the king died without an heir, various ministers fought for power. That's when a wizard named Merlin created a magical sword, Excalibur, and embedded it in a stone, declaring that only the true heir of Uther Pendragon could pull it out. Many warriors tried and failed, but in the end, a young boy named Arthur succeeded. He turned out to be the lost son of King Uther Pendragon. Arthur grew into a noble and just king, but his stepsister Morgana believed she was the rightful heir. She used dark magic to attack Arthur, but he defeated her. Before her defeat, Morgana swore that she would return when the kingdom was weak and claim Excalibur. Despite this fascinating story, Alex and Betters found it hard to believe. Alex jokingly appointed Betters as his knight and hid the sword in his wardrobe. Meanwhile, Morgana sensed that Excalibur had been removed from the stone and awakened from the depths of the earth. At the same time, another ancient spirit sensed the sword's return and took the form of a young boy. He arrived in the town of Stonehenge, completely unclothed, prompting a shopkeeper to offer him clothes. Wandering the streets, he was soon stopped by the police. Using his magical powers, he entranced them, and they willingly dropped him off at a school, the very school where Alex and Betters studied. In class, the mysterious boy introduced himself as Merlin. His strange behavior made the students laugh at him. Later, during an astronomy lesson, Merlin kept staring at Alex, making him uncomfortable. The teacher informed the class about a solar eclipse happening in 4 days, which made Merlin panic. Without saying a word, he ran out of the room. During lunch, Merlin returned and dramatically announced that King Arthur's heir had returned, and it was Alex. Embarrassed, Alex ran away, while the other students laughed at Merlin's claims. Later that day, Alex decided to return the sword, wanting to forget about everything. But at midnight, he suddenly woke up and saw a skeletal figure rising from the ground outside, holding a burning sword. Alarmed, he called for his mother, Mary, but she wasn't home. Alex quickly locked himself in his room and drew his sword, which began to glow. The skeletal creature broke into his room and attacked. Alex tried to defend himself, but the creature knocked Excalibur out of his hands. Just as the skeleton was about to strike Alex down, Merlin arrived and destroyed it with magic. However, using so much magic drained Merlin's strength, so he asked Alex to meet him at the cafeteria the next day. Curious to learn more, Alex reopened the book his father had given him. Meanwhile, in Morgana's lair, she learned that her minion had been defeated by a mere boy and a wizard. Enraged, she broke free from her roots and awakened her demonic army to reclaim Excalibur. The next morning, Alex's mother found him with the sword and scolded him for keeping such a dangerous weapon. She ordered him to return it to where he found it. However, Alex saw an opportunity and escaped with the sword. He was determined to meet Merlin and get answers. Alex and Betters found Merlin working at a restaurant. Merlin warned Alex that now that he possessed Excalibur, Morgana and her monstrous army would come for him. When her soldiers arrive, time freezes for everyone except those connected to Excalibur. If Morgana isn't stopped before the solar eclipse, she will unleash destruction upon the world. Still skeptical, Alex and Betters demanded proof. Merlin then revealed his true form and used magic to show them a terrifying vision of the future, Morgana ruling the land with all humans enslaved. Shocked, Alex realized that he had a responsibility. Merlin told him that it was now his duty to find and defeat Morgana. Then, Merlin vanished. Determined, Alex and Betters returned to the place where Alex had found Excalibur and began planning their next move. As night fell, Morgana's soldiers were bound to attack. But before that could happen, Lance and Kay appeared once again to trouble Alex. Alex challenged them to pull the sword from the stone, but as expected, neither of them could do it. He then made a deal. If he could pull the sword out, they would have to kneel before him. Confident they would win, Lance and Kay agreed. To their astonishment, Alex effortlessly pulled out the sword. As soon as they knelt, Alex declared them his knights. But just then, Lance shoved Alex and snatched the sword from him, thinking it was all a joke. At that very moment, 3 skeletal warriors riding flaming horses emerged from the ground. Lance tried to defend himself with his sword, but the soldier knocked it out of his hand. Just as the soldier was about to kill Lance, Alex picked up the sword and fought back. He told the other kids to run. As they ran, they desperately called for help, but as Merlin had warned, time would freeze when the demonic soldiers appeared. That's exactly what happened. There was no one to help them. The 4 of them ran down the road, but the soldiers were still chasing them. As one soldier got close to Alex, he quickly opened a car door. The soldier crashed into it and was instantly burned to ashes. However, 2 soldiers were still left. Kay mentioned that he knew how to drive, so they all jumped into a car and sped away. One of the soldiers caught up to them, but Kay rammed the car into him, causing him to crash into a bus stop. Now, only 1 soldier remained. Kay turned the car around and drove straight at him, hitting him hard. The moment the last soldier was defeated, time started moving again. At that very moment, an old woman suddenly appeared in the car. It turned out that the car actually belonged to her. The kids screamed in shock, but quickly got out of the car and hid in a dark alley. Lance then grabbed Alex and demanded to know what was going on. The next day, Alex and Betters went to Lance's house and told him everything about Merlin and the sword. Alex explained that they needed to find Morgana's cave, and the only person who might know its location was Alex's father. After all, he was the one who had given Alex the book about King Arthur. The problem was that Alex's parents were divorced, and his father had moved far away. Their new mission was to find him and uncover Morgana's location. Now, Lance and Kay had also joined their quest. The next day, the 4 of them took a bus to find Alex's father. However, on the way, Merlin appeared in the form of an owl. He used his magic to take control of the bus and started training the kids in the ways of royal knights. Afterward, he brought them to Stonehenge, where he used his magic to open a secret doorway. They had to travel the rest of the way on foot. After walking for some time, Merlin stopped and decided to train them in sword fighting. Using his magic, he created swords identical to Excalibur. Then he enchanted 4 trees, bringing them to life so that the kids could train against them. The training began, and Merlin left in search of food. At first, the kids struggled, but they soon realized that the trees were using their branches and roots to teach them how to fight. Just as they were getting the hang of it, Morgana took control of the tree's roots from underground. The roots grabbed Alex and Betters, trapping them. They called for help, but Lance, driven by greed, stole Excalibur from Alex and tried to run away. However, the trees, now under Morgana's control, also captured Lance and Kay. The roots started pulling all 4 of them underground. At that moment, Merlin heard their screams and used a powerful magical spell to destroy the trees and their roots. However, the spell drained his energy, so he transformed into an owl and left to regain his strength. Afterward, Alex demanded his sword back from Lance, but Lance refused and declared himself the new leader. As they continued their journey, they passed through a swamp. Betters challenged Lance to a duel, but Alex stepped in and decided to fight Lance himself. They clashed swords, but in the heat of the battle, Excalibur shattered into 2 pieces. Without the sword, their mission seemed impossible. Then Alex remembered the legend about the Lady of the Lake, who protected Excalibur. He pleaded with her to restore the sword. Suddenly, a hand emerged from the water, holding the sword fully restored. Seeing this miracle, they all cheered and resumed their quest. Lance deeply regretted his past actions and apologized to Alex, vowing to always stand by his side. As they traveled further, they met some nomads who gave them horses to help them on their journey. The sun began to set, and Morgana's soldiers were about to appear. As soon as they arrived, time froze once again, and the nomads disappeared. Skeleton warriors emerged from the ground, forcing Alex and his friends to flee into the forest. However, the soldiers were fast and kept chasing them. Suddenly, Betters fell off his horse, and a soldier was about to strike him. At the last moment, Alex called out to Kay, and they managed to save Betters just in time. Although they had escaped that attack, more soldiers kept rising from the ground. Alex and his friends ran until they reached the edge of a cliff overlooking the sea. Alex suddenly had an idea. He jumped off his horse and leaped off the cliff. His friends were shocked but followed him. Instead of falling into the water, they landed safely on a rock ledge. However, the soldiers chasing them also jumped, but they fell straight into the sea and disappeared. With the soldiers defeated, Alex and his friends finally arrived at the legendary town of King Arthur. They spent the night in an abandoned castle. The next morning, Alex set out for the village to find his father and uncover Morgana's true location. But instead of his father, he only found his Aunt Sophie, who told him that his father, he had become addicted, and now he no longer lived there. Alex couldn't believe them, so he showed them the book about King Arthur that his father had given him. But Sophie said that the book was actually a gift from Alex's mother. Hearing this, Alex was shocked and started to feel that everything he had believed about his father was a lie. Disturbed, he ran away and sat on a rock, feeling that the story of King Arthur was false. So, he threw the book into the sea. Then, Betters calmed him down and told him that he had learned the magic of duplicating things from Merlin. Soon, Kay and Lance arrived and thanked him because, due to him, they were all moving forward as a united group. Finally, Merlin appeared in his true form, holding the same book Alex had thrown away. He then told Alex that he had not received the sword because he was King Arthur's descendant, but because he had the courage and spirit to stand by the truth. Hearing this, Alex felt a new surge of confidence, but he still didn't know where Morgana's home was. Merlin then said that the answer lay in the book. Alex read that Morgana still resided in her old castle in the Glastonbury area. To fight Morgana, they needed weapons, so Alex and Better went to an arcade where Better used his magic to create thousands of coins so they could buy weapons for their team. After that, they reached Glastonbury through a magical door created by Merlin, but there, they found only a small, empty castle. As soon as they entered, Excalibur's gem started to glow on its own, and Alex realized that the entrance to Morgana's cave was underground. Alex struck the ground with his sword, opening a hidden pathway with stairs leading downward. When they reached below, they found a cave filled with monstrous tree roots. Suddenly, the roots attacked them. Lance held them back so Alex could move forward. Alex walked into the heart of the cave and finally found Morgana's lair. He saw that all his friends were trapped in the sorceress's tendrils. At that moment, the sorceress appeared. It was none other than Morgana herself. She demanded that Alex hand over the sword to her, but when Alex refused, Morgana transformed into a terrifying beast and began attacking him with fire. Alex barely managed to escape, but soon Morgana surrounded him and told him that he was not the true heir of King Arthur and had no right to the sword. Hearing this, Alex kneeled before her and pretended to hand over Excalibur, but just as Morgana reached for it, Alex pulled the sword back and struck her with a lethal blow. Morgana was severely injured, and her magic started weakening. Suddenly, the entire cave began shaking as if it was about to collapse. Alex saw that his friends had been freed from the monstrous roots, so they all rushed outside. As soon as they exited, the cave crumbled into pieces before their eyes. Their courage and determination had finally led to Morgana's defeat. Their mission was a success, and they all took a bus back to London. When Alex arrived home, he saw his mother sleeping. He wanted to tell her everything that had happened, but he wasn't ready yet. So, he went to his room and fell asleep. The next morning, he woke up to find his window covered in roots. Suddenly, Merlin appeared and informed him that Morgana was still alive and would return stronger than ever to attack Britain. Alex was shocked and wondered what mistake he had made. Then, he realized he had broken one of the rules of being a knight, respecting those close to him. Before leaving for the mission, he had not told his mother the truth. So, he immediately went to her. As soon as she saw him, she hugged him tightly, saying she had been worried about him. Alex then revealed that he had found the truth about his father and finally understood that his mother had only been trying to protect him from the past. They embraced again, and their bond was restored. However, Alex still had one important task left. Trusting his mother, he told her everything about King Arthur and Excalibur, but she still didn't believe him. To prove it, Alex filled a bowl with water and tried to summon the Lady of the Lake. Moments later, his mother was stunned to see a hand rise from the water, holding the same Excalibur sword. After regaining Excalibur, Alex met with his friends and the wizard Merlin. Together, they strategized on how to stop Morgana. There were only a few hours left before the solar eclipse, the moment when Morgana would attack with her full strength. They needed a large army to fight her. Alex came up with the idea of gathering all the students from his school and turning them into knights to battle Morgana's army. Once their plan was set, they reached the school. There, Merlin used his magic to take control of the principal's mind and gathered all the students. Alex explained the threat of Morgana and told them the story of Excalibur and King Arthur, but the students laughed at him, thinking he was crazy. To get their attention, Merlin transformed into an owl, shocking everyone. Alex then asked them to kneel so he could knight them and prepare them for battle. Initially, they refused, but when the principal announced that they would be excused from homework, they immediately agreed. Alex declared them all his soldiers, and his friends began distributing armor and shields, while also training them for combat. Merlin then used his magic to take car keys from all the parents, planning to use their vehicles to counter Morgana's cavalry. Within a few hours, the entire school had turned into a fortress that wouldn't be easy to penetrate. Soon, the solar eclipse began, and Morgana's army of thousands of horsemen emerged from the ground, charging toward the school at full speed. Alex commanded his team to execute the first phase of their plan, using cars to crush the horsemen at the gates. This tactic worked to some extent, but many soldiers still managed to infiltrate the school corridors. Alex then initiated the second phase of the plan, where he, Better, Lance, and Kay led the students in a direct battle. Initially, the children fought bravely, but soon, Morgana's soldiers became overwhelming. Seeing this, Alex ordered everyone to retreat to the rooftop, where Merlin would create a portal to trap Morgana. However, as soon as they reached the roof, Morgana ambushed Merlin, weakening him and turning him back into his old form. Despite being injured, Merlin declared that Morgana would never win because Alex and his friends had more courage and integrity than her. Enraged, Morgana transformed into a massive dragon and started hurling fireballs at them. Luckily, they managed to dodge her attacks. Using ropes, they trapped her legs and neck to prevent her from using fire against them. Still, she launched a powerful fireball at Merlin, injuring him badly. Alex ran to save him, but Merlin was in critical condition. Acting quickly, Alex gave him a magical potion, which healed him instantly. Regaining his strength, Merlin opened a massive portal to imprison Morgana forever. Meanwhile, Alex bravely dodged Morgana's attacks and climbed onto her back. But her neck could twist completely, and she was about to finish him off with a fireball when Alex swung Excalibur and beheaded her. Her body was sucked into the portal, and Morgana's threat was finally gone forever. Alex and his friends celebrated their victory. The next day, Alex threw the Excalibur sword into the lake. After that, the goddess of water took it back with her so that a brave warrior could use it again in the future. If you liked the video, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel.